Welcome to the Arundel Camera Club meeting for Thursday, September 14th. Thank you, Mike, so much for the thumbs up. My name is John Milliker, and I'm the president for the 2023-2024 season. The Arundel Camera Club was founded in 1957 and exists to promote the arts, science, and education in all aspects and fields of photography. For more information about us, please visit www.arundelcameraclub.org. And as always, we're so happy to be now meeting in person and online. And this is our first digital contest since before the unpleasantness that we had a few years back. So I do appreciate if you mind our bugs and have a little bit of patience with us tonight. We do have our judge, who is Ed Palzinski. We'll get our contest chair to talk a little bit more about him. He is joining us through over the telephone, mixed into the mixer, and we may have a few bugs there as well that we may need to figure out. Do we have any new people here? I don't see any new people. You guys came last 2 weeks, okay? I also want to thank Ron and Bob for covering for me and Christine last week. We were out of town, and I think they did a great job with the Zoom. It takes a lot. It's hard, man. It's absolutely a lot of craziness you got to think about. But you guys did really good for being your first. I wish my first stream was half as good as your guys's. And once again, we have a great turnout. Let's move on. Do we have any announcements from our officers? Okay. What's that, Ed?
Don't forget, Fort McHenry, meet at the entrance building at 6 p.m. and bring your lawn chair or a blanket, because we're going to have a wonderful evening. We're going to have fireworks. We're going to have an orchestra band. We're going to have a band. We're going to have military events. It's going to be great. Fireworks, too.
What day?
Saturday night. This Saturday night.
Perfect. Thank you, Ed. I'm going to turn it over to Christine, our programs chair, to talk about the schedule, and then we'll turn over to Ron for MPA, and then also introducing our judge. Do you need this?
Yes.
I think she needs that.
Good evening and welcome. Glad to finally make a meeting this year. Next week, we have Hope Brooks, one of our new members, that's going to be talking about botany and flowers. Bring your cameras, because we're going to have some tabletop activities at the end of her program to allow people to take some photographs of some of the flowers she likes to that she's going to bring in. On the 28th is our first print contest of the year with the theme of open, much like tonight, but print your prints off and bring them in. On October 5th is our portrait night. I'm asking for some help with this. I would like to get people who have artesian themes or for our contest in December. This is a portrait night, but I want to help us get entries to our contests. So if you know anyone who might want to pose with some of their crafts or with some of the artistic things that they do, please contact me with their information. On the 12th is our next digital contest, which is on flowers. And then on the 19th, we have our other new member, Ryan Maurer, talking on cave photography. Any questions on the schedule? Okay, hand this over to Ron.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Just a couple quick MPA announcements. First of all, I did send an email out yesterday or today about the MPA contest. So you all can, if you haven't seen that, go back and dig in and look for it. A lot of my email ends up in junk because that's just kind of me, The contest actually, you have two items, 2 photos you can submit for free, 2 more for $10. So MPA gets to make a little bit of money if you decide to do more. Most people are submitting up to 4, and there are 4 different themes, and I don't have them right in front of me, but you can choose from them, and you can do all 4 from one theme, or you can spread them across, or whatever you like to do. But really like to see as many as possible participate in this thing. This is going to be our regular annual photography contest, black and white or color, whatever you want to do. So lots of that coming down the road. Going to be a busy year with some other activities from MPA as we go, and every week we have a chance to update you on stuff, plus emails. I'll send them on out to you. Okay, John, I think I've hit my high points.
Well, if you can, Ron, let's go ahead and have you introduce our judge for tonight, and we'll get started. I put him into the mixer. I think we should have him. Ed, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, Ed, good to have you here again. This is, many of you may remember Ed Palczynski from judging about this time last year. And he's really well experienced, and it's great to have him to kick off the year because in many, many ways, he is such a good judge and being able to give you some good feedback in a way that will be useful to, if you get images that are not going to make it through, he might give you some hints to help you get there, but he's quite good at that and a little gentler than some of our judges have been in the past, I might add too. Ed's photo journey has taken him into lots of areas of historical documentation, architecture, motorsports, nature, and fine art photography. He enjoys studying a subject or scene in order to determine how the light will affect shapes and tones and textures, something we all ought to do a little bit rather than just doing the snap. He has recently completed a series of images for a project called Life Forms to answer the question, what does life look like? Ed's images have appeared and placed in national juried shows that include the Circle Gallery in Annapolis, Photo Works, Washington Artworks, Delaplane Arts Center, and the Allegheny Arts Council. He has a Gaithersburg Camera Club Grandmaster, and his images have been used for online and print publications. He's a past president of the Gaithersburg Camera Club and serves in several board positions. He's a member of the Maryland Federation of Art, Nature First, and is an MPA certified judge. He has developed and taught numerous photography classes in Montgomery College and workshops for individuals and clients of Mac Business Solutions and Capital Photography. And I might go back, I mentioned that he was a MPA certified judge. Ed is the chair of the committee and he's helping to gear up for a spring class of new judges, at least one of which will be coming from our group to go through and get some training so we can increase the number of judges we can get into the pool. So Ed, nice to have you here this evening. You have did anything that I should have added in the commentary?
No, thank you very much. That was very humbling, by the way.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I think that you're going to enjoy tonight's contest because we have a nice, healthy number of items in both the novice and the unlimited categories.
Yes, so, I had to review the images, and there's a section, and I've got a list of relevant points.
Okay.
How many awards?
Well, we will have 25 entries. I've got a first, second, third, fourth, and 3 honorable mentions in the novices.
Okay, so total.
Okay. Are you ready to start reviewing the images? We can go through and look at all 25 of the novices and then go back and you can start making some commentary if you like.
Let me just what some of my be and what some of my will be. When you first, I look for that personal impact subject or whatever your image may be represented. I'll then size it, subject, light, the color, use of your sub frame, specifically position. And as this, I'll give a sense rather than the unlimited, because they should know better. But, if I can share a quote I really enjoy sharing with other people. It's a quote by a guy, and he has phrased, and he used thought when it photography, and he asked, "Is your of something, or is it of something?" And I triumph that philosophy, and basically what it does, your image, great. I'm very, very big on that. With that, I'm ready to go.
Okay. John, how are we doing with the audio?
We're getting a little bit of breakouts there, Ed. But what we'll do is I've done as much as I can to make the cellular signal better. But what we're going to do is we may have a couple have you repeat that. It's okay?
Sure. Just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. John, let's go ahead and get started if you like for the novices. Okay. And is the
Where did the view go?
Yeah, we saw it a bit ago.
Compare. We go over to develop. There we go. There's
Okay.
our
Okay.
names there.
All right, image number 1 is 10 truck.
Are you going to show your audience?
Yeah, they're looking at image number 1 now. I'll announce each one as it comes up. Image 2 is milkweed. Image 3 is Bluey and the Bluebells. Number 4 is July 4th sunrise. Image 5 is monkeying around. Image 6, sunset and sunflowers. Image 7 is resort. Image 8 is sir. Image 9, oranged and ready. Number 10, flyby. Number 11, stop the run. Number 12, the queen. "13, girls. "14, Cafe Yerba. Number 15, I think that's macaroon. And 16, down the barrel. 17, skip dip. 18, bird of prey and pines. 19, Hayes, Carl the third. The second, I'm sorry. Number 20, popping balloons. Number 21, Gerbera daisy, negative. Number 22, long neck, short grass. And number 3, black crowned heron. Number 24, red suits. Number 25 is a lone tree. All right, John's going to run back to the beginning. And Ed, if you can give us some comment on them, and we'll say and indicate in or out for each one as we go. And if we have some drop out with the commentary, we can't quite get what's there, we'll let you know.
Please do. Okay, 10. I love the action. I love the fact, but I think would make it a stronger is if you got, so you can see the and the interest thing to where I do love you did capture. I don't know what the circle, but it would have been nice to engage with the actual fire. The other thing that is your back is very, very, and in most, that's where your eyes. So try and tone that either with a gradient or out.
Okay, did you say out, Ed?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Give me a second, Ed. I'm going to try to move over to another connector because we're
Okay.
having breakouts, and I don't know if it's a connection between us or a connection here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug you into a different thing here. Can you
Okay.
hear us, Ed?
Yes.
Okay. Can you go ahead and
That
give
better?
me a sound test again?
Sure. 1, 2, 3. Test.
Okay, we're going to try that, and if we continue having dropouts, we'll have you call back in. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so number 1 was out.
Number 1 is out. Yep. Ed, we're on to number 2.
Milkweed. Great position. I love the fact you heard a plant on its downside, so to speak. What hurts this image, though, is your tonal range. In your main subject in the lower part of the pod is matching background. So you're not getting inspiration that one would normally get if your tonal range was different background versus four. So keep that in mind. And if you process it, you could lower brightness in the background, which will literally lift out your subject. We'll keep it in.
Okay.
Ed, can you do me? Ed, can you do me a favor? Can we hang up and have you call back in because we're still getting some dropouts on you?
Okay.
Okay. Can you call me right back?
Yep.
Thank you. And I apologize. We're now live. We're now connected directly into the mixer, so I'm not sure what kind of a connection problem we had. I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi. Yeah, I think his connection into my phone was acting funky. Hey Ed, can you hear us? Ed, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Let's try that again. Now you said number 2 was in.
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 3, and I'll turn it back over to Ron.
Yeah. Bluey and the Bluebells, Ed.
Nice portrait of your pet. I love the fact that you've got the setting with the purple flowers and the greens and the yellows against the white. It's actually a very, very nice portrait. The dog itself, very sharp and in focus, and it's a very good picture. No real hot spots, no real dark spots, but nice, evenly across. And because the dog is white, you can see this tonal separation from the colors in your background. This is what I was meant in the previous shot. In.
Okay, number 3 is in. Number 4.
Fourth of July, nicely caught. Very good exposure. It's a little, if you look at the right side, the left side, your horizon is slightly off. And in order to give an image a little bit more interest, it would be great to have another element in the foreground, whether that be a person or rocks or an animal, bird, whatever, because everybody takes, pictures of the sunrise or something. I want to add a visual element that would give it sort of, or even a little bit. But the first thing I would recommend to straighten out the eyes, really crooked. Out.
Okay. Number 4 is out. Number 5, monkeying around.
Of the shot. It's always great to shoot individuals, especially kids playing. What is missing, though, is the actual children engaging with you, the photographer. I know it might have been a candid shot, or you just wanted to catch it. You didn't want them looking, but it really would have been better if more than just that one single boy was looking at you or towards you. You see how you have a couple people just kind of looking off in the distance, left and right. So it's not really engaging the viewer per se. It is very well done. It's a good exposure, good composition, great color. But when you work with someone, if you, especially a person, if they are looking at you, they're engaging with you, or they're engaging with something within your photo, it really does make for a more interesting image overall. So with that, we'll take this out.
Okay, number 5 is out. All right, number 6, sunset and sunflowers.
Here's a good example of how the subject, which is the gal with the parasol, is being engaged, if you will, not necessarily with the photographer, but she's engaging with the light, the sun. So you get this feeling of energy, if you will, and how it's exuding this dynamic component of your image. And I think very, very important. It's a nice position. My comment would be, the next time you take a pose like this or have someone pose for you, try and get more of a three-quarter view of the entire person as opposed to just from the side. I just think that would be a little bit even more engaged. But I like the composition, I like the concept, and you had a great guy that evening. So kudos to you, and great use of light to really just highlight that particular gal. In?
Okay, number 6 is in. Number 7, resort.
Nice composition, great color, and it's a little, I won't say over-processed. It's processed in a way that's more like, as opposed to an actual photograph. And I respect the photographer to do that. In fact, when I first saw this, I kind of envisioned this sort of image being printed on canvas. It's almost art-like. It's almost like a painting, if you will. And I know that's tend to go in that, but it's very, very well done. So we'll keep it in for now.
Okay, number 7 is in. Number 8, sir.
I laughed when I first saw this. I can't tell you how many times I've photographed my cat just for practice. And it just goes without saying, shooting animals can be a lot of fun. It can be frustrating, but also a lot of fun. I love the fact that the photographer did it in black and white, and it's actually a very good exposure. Just an odd sort of perspective, though. I know the cat's kind of laying down, and cats especially can be really to capture 100%. And this animal was captured very, very well. Great depth of field, good sharpness, good exposure. The background, though, really desires a little bit less brightness, because, again, your eye is immediately going to that, and it's detracting from the animal. There is another black and white image of a cat. I don't know if it's the same photographer, which I think accomplishes the effect a little bit better. But I like the effort here. Out.
Okay, number 8 is out. Number 9. B.
Very, very interesting photo and subject. It's very rare you actually see. I mean, this is almost like a documentary type of shot taken with some beautiful sky on top of it. Again, great exposure, good composition. I would like to see, though, maybe another element that would lend visual interest, whether it be maybe even a boat out in the water, if you will, or a person, or some sort of interactive sort of element, other than it being a pure documentary type of shot. We'll take this one out.
Okay, number 9 is out. Number 10, flyby.
Really nice subject matter here. You not only have the hot air balloon, but you also have a biplane in the same frame, which is very rare to see. And they're very difficult to capture properly. And it's very noticeable when you take a really close look at the plane. It's been a little over-processed. There's a lot of contrasty edges around it. And it just, to me, I think it detracts more than adds to the actual image. The hot air balloon by itself is very well done, and you got a great clear sky with a nice foreground, namely the yellows and golds as a contrast in color. So it really is a nice color combination. But I think because it's difficult to really get these two things without having the proper depth of field, the plane really detracts, I think, overall from this image. So we'll take this out.
Okay, number 10 is out. Number 11, stop the run.
Here's a nice example of a sports action shot where you can easily, the viewer, can easily engage with the subject. You see the face, you see the action, you actually see the result of the tackle as these two gentlemen are trying to score their goal, so to speak. And what is one of the only detriments in this is, unfortunately, the background. The background takes a little bit away from the actual image. And what I would recommend is to try and make that image a little bit more diffuse. You've got tools within Lightroom as well as Photoshop to allow you to do that, to give you more of a blur or a bokeh, so you don't have that distracting component. The other way to possibly do this, if you're comfortable and if your rules allow, is to clone out that particular gal that's in the left part of the frame where you see the half individual with the purple shirt. I think it's a gal. And just remove that. And you wind up with a much stronger image. But it's a good exposure, a good capture. Getting sports and animals or cars that are moving are very, very difficult to do well on a consistent basis as well. So we'll take this one out.
Okay, number 11 is out. Number 12, the Queen.
This is cool. I really enjoy this. And here's the other cat photograph, if you will, which I think was more artfully done, combined with the flowers. And obviously you have a depth of field choice here to make. The photographer chose to focus on the cat's eye and face rather than all of the flowers. The flower in the upper right-hand corner is not totally in focus, but that's okay because the buds that are right in front of the cat are actually very, very well done. What I would recommend, though, is to crop this image in the following way. Take your left frame, your left edge, and bring it over to get rid of that semicircle eye in the left-hand side, and then bring up your frame on the bottom like maybe an inch and a half. And you have a much more focused image where you have just that single cat eye, half the head, looking at that bud or looking at you. And it becomes a very, very engaging image if you do that. In?
Okay, number 12 is in. Number 13, girls.
Love candid shots like this. It's always fun to get friends together and to have them interact with the photographer. And this is, again, going back to what I was mentioning, you have these people fully engaged with you. And this is probably going to be a photograph that will be cherished, if you will, in years to come from these folks. I'm not overly concerned that the gal in the middle is not 100% sharp. She's actually, slightly, off because she was moving. But I think that's okay because you have all the other faces very, very actively engaged with you, the photographer. The white pieces of clothing are a little hot. So if you could tone that down just a little bit, you'll actually have a stronger image. In?
Okay, number 13 is in. Number 14, Cafe Yerba.
When I first looked at this, I wasn't quite sure if the cafe itself, the signs, or the top sign or the bottom sign, or even the electric meter was what you wanted me to look at. There's a lot going on here. And then I noticed, and Ron, you can confirm or deny this for me, there's a signature in the lower right-hand corner of this. Is that allowed?
I don't know we've ever had that in pictures, have we, John?
We have, and I believe that may be a disqualification.
Okay.
Let me let me do one quick thing. I want to double check and verify.
Sure.
But I believe we do have a rule, and I apologize that we missed that. But I do believe we have a rule that no identifying marks.
That's what I thought.
It only matters if he's leaving it in.
Pulling up our rules now. About us. Where is it? Competitions. Okay. Nope, that's not it. Is it in here, gentlemen?
Okay, can't read the rules on my phone.
I'm in the digital contest submission process 2023, the new document you
It's not
guys
in the
did.
process, it's in the different link, the rules.
Okay,
Would be where it would be.
okay. Here it is.
Yeah, I don't
I was-
think I have a rule about that.
Anyway, so if you wish to move forward, we can.
Yes. Yeah, let's go ahead, Ed, and see what you want to do with this.
Okay. Next.
Ed, I'm not seeing something. We're gonna need to go through with that. I'm gonna, unless the contest team wants to overrule me, I'm gonna say that for now this is okay. So let's
Okay.
pretend that that is completely okay. What is your ruling on this image, in or out?
Okay. Out. I mean, I would take the image out anyway.
Okay, makes it easy. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
that's better.
And we're gonna dive into the extended rules and make sure that we have something
No
on that.
problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was a signature or was somehow part of it. I mean, again,
Okay. Ed, did you have any comments for the photographer otherwise in the composition that you wanted to add?
yes. I'm not sure what you want me to look at. You have two signs. It's obviously a street scene. You cut off the bottom. So if you're going to give me a street scene, show me more of the bottom. I mean, it's more of a picture of the sign, the cafe. And I think maybe a better perspective or just a better composition would have highlighted that more so than what is actually being shown. There's too many things that is taking my eye in and out of the picture. And for that reason, we'll take it out, regardless of the signature or not.
And until the next time.
Yes.
Number 15 is macaron.
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 Yes. Very good. They can be very expensive as well, but they're quite tasty. Shooting food really requires you to get a little bit closer and more focused. I could, easily see where the photographer may have seen this, thought this was pretty cool. It's nice geometry. It's a nice perspective. But unfortunately, I would recommend get closer and maybe focus on one tray or two trays versus the entire table. Because really, other than what you have up front, that's it. Everything else is blurry. You have a lot of your photograph that really doesn't contribute to the actual subject. So I guess the bottom line is, if you're going to shoot macarons, shoot the macaron. Don't shoot everything else. So get a little closer the next time. It's not a bad exposure. The table's a little hot, but I would focus more on the actual food or food product, whatever that may be. So we'll take this out.
Out. And number 16 is down the barrel.
Quite well done. This is a difficult shot to get because of the rifling within this cannon. You rarely see a very good, clean shot like this, showing you the embossing around the muzzle with the rifling, and then obviously there's nothing on the other end, and you're seeing the background. This is just a barrel by itself. I appreciate that the photographer included the word danger as well, but I'm wondering what kind of image this could turn out to be if one did a circular crop of just the barrel and then add in another background, or feel free to put in something that you may have seen the same day there to really emphasize the geometry, because the geometry here is really what is attracting the eye. And the strongest piece of geometry that you can have within an image is a circle. All right. This is very, very powerful in terms of people viewing an image. I guess this is why people like sunrises and sunsets. You're shooting a circle, okay, with wonderful color. But this is pretty cool. In for now.
Okay, 16 is in. Number 17 is skip dip.
This is exceptional. I really, really, really like this. You have textures, you have colors, you have a dynamic component of this with the ripples, and the range of colors is just truly extraordinary. This is fantastic. I don't have to know what it is. It's just a wonderful shape. In fact, speaking of circles, this is almost a complete circle here, and you've got some great lines radiating out from that right-hand side because of the ripples of your actual colored image. This is very, very well done. One suggestion, though, is the upper right-hand corner is a little bit bright, just a tad. This is nitpicking right now, but match up that darker blue in that upper right-hand corner, and I think that'll help as well. But this is well done. In?
Okay, number 17 is in. Number 18, bird of prey and pines.
Yes, there are several bird pictures here where exposures really, really come into play. Number one, this is a great composition, a good capture, but the bird itself is underexposed. And this is always the trick when doing wildlife photography. You've got to watch your backgrounds. And when you do expose for an animal, sometimes it helps either to do center weighted or spot weighted metering on the bird itself, so as to make sure you get the details. And this is a sword that cuts both ways. It's either too much or too little, which we'll see with some of the other bird photos. So unfortunately, I'm going to take this out.
Okay, number 18 is out. And number 19.
This is great.
Hayes Carl.
Yep. This is a very, very nice musical portrait. I love the fact that the photographer used black and white. There's two suggestions I would make, and that is, I know that sometimes it's good to include spots, but that spot in the upper left-hand corner is distracting, so get rid of that. And the face and the hands on your performer here are just a little bit too bright. If you can go in there and do a little bit of burning to get back a little bit more detail within the face or the hands, then you've got a really dynamite photograph. You've got some nice subtle background in the lower part of your photograph, which is great. So it was a really nice exposure. And again, I understand stage lights and other lights being very, very difficult sometimes to get, but this is a nice capture. In?
Okay, number 19 in. Number 20, popping balloon.
This is great. This is a wonderful shot and difficult to get. I don't know if any of you have played with capturing stop motion, either with oil and water or vessels such as this, but these are very, very, very difficult to catch, and you really have to practice this particular skill. We'll definitely keep this in. My only suggestion, because I love the lighting on this as well, is it's unfortunate that you didn't get more of the bottom of the balloon. It kind of got cut off on your table there. So if you just had a little bit more of that balloon, you'd have a perfect shot. But we'll keep this in.
Okay, number 20 is in. Number 21 is Gerber Daisy negative.
This is a nice treatment of flower. because everybody photographs flowers. They're great to practice with. It's sometimes difficult to come up with a creative new way to show the structure and the beauty of flowers. In fact, it was interesting. I almost thought that this might have been a scan of a flower, or maybe it was an infrared shot. But to see the title that it was negative is actually a very unique way of actually portraying a flower. The middle of the flower is a little hot. I would like to see a little bit more detail. Again, if you go in there and burn this a little bit with one of your processing tools, you may be able to bring back out more of the detail.
Okay, number 21 is in. Number 22, long neck, short grass.
Say that fast 10 times. Here's a good example of now a bird being overexposed. As I had mentioned previously, it's a double-edged sword. And it's difficult sometimes to get a really good exposure of wildlife, especially birds, and a bird like this that has a lot of white or grays associated with it. Because if you look closely at the head and the neck, even though it may be in focus, there's no detail there of the feathers. There's very, very little, if any. In fact, the top of the head is a little hot. And again, that exposure and playing with your exposure settings to get a good exposure of a bird such as this in a lot of different lighting conditions as well is very, very difficult to get. We'll take this one out.
Okay, number 22 is out. Number 23, black-crowned heron.
Now, here's a good example of getting a proper exposure on a white bird. Looks as if that the bird may have been covered in shade, if you will, because if you look closely at this bird, you can see a lot of texture within the actual body of the bird. You can see the texture of the legs and the rocks itself. So this is very, very well done. The only thing that's a little distracting is that background. Sometimes colors can be distracting, and the leaves that are this reddish brown are just a little bit off from the rest of your image. So you may want to play with that and see how you may be able to rectify that. Because if you look really closely, the bird capture itself is perfect. But then at the top of the head, you have this spike of reddish brown coming out of its head. And that's where I find this to be distracting. In?
Okay, number 23 is in. Number 24, red suits her.
This is another very, very nice portrait where the person is being engaged with the light. And I love the fact that this is red on red on red, which is a very, very nice motif, if you will. And you've got a good composition. You've got differing textures within the chiffon of the model. And you've got this perfect exposure of her skin, which is very, very well done. Two things, though, that I would like to have seen is the top of the image. It has her hair cut off. If you can give me just a little bit more space there and just a little bit more space on the right, just to give it some balance and proportion. But otherwise, it's very, very well done. In?
Okay, number 24 is in, and our last of the novice items tonight is number 25, lone tree.
Lone tree. They say it's always best to photograph either single, groups of 3, or groups of 5, odd numbers. Don't ask me why. I love what the photographer was after here, but the fact that there's only these two trees, beautiful shadows, nice exposure, not much detail in the sky. I would go back and play with this a little bit more and get a little bit more interest in it, or do a single tree and try and define possibly its character or its roots or its branches to really get into the subject, if you will. Other than the trees and the shadowy lines, there's really nothing else here that's holding my visual interest. So I would recommend, again, go back and play with this a little bit more and get more into looking at different compositions and different numbers of trees or whatever you're after. Out.
Okay, number 25 is out. And John, my count, I believe we have 13 remaining. Would that be correct?
Let me find out.
While John's looking that up, just a few words for the novices, particularly if your photograph is out tonight, or if you've gotten a honorable mention on it, you can take it back and do some additional work and bring it back into a later contest this year or next. But if it ends up in a placement, then it goes into the till for the end of the year contest. We'll have to talk about that at some point.
We do have 13, Ron.
Okay. All right, Ed, so we're looking at first through fourth and 3 honorable mentions.
Okay, let me do first. I am going to repeat back to you the numbers that are in, so I can actually display them in my own screen and know which ones to take out and which ones to keep in. So the ones I have, oops. Okay, these are the ones that I'm pretty sure I've got select. You said 13?
Hold on a second here. Yes, we have 13.
Okay, so I have number 2 milkweed, number 3 bluey, number 6 sunset, number 7 resort, 11. No, I took
No, 11 was out, I think.
correct. 13 was in.
And
Girls.
was 12 in?
I have 12 in as well.
All right, let me go. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let me go back. Okay, so we have 12, 13, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21. I took 23 out.
No,
I have 23 in.
you took 23 in.
In, okay. And then I had 24.
Yep.
Okay.
Now we're square.
Now we're square. I just wanted to make sure. Now, I forgot I need to select my own, so I won't do that next. So we need to take out 6.
That's right.
Okay. Let's take out number 2, milkweed.
Number 2 has been removed.
Yep. Number 3, bluey.
Number 3 has been removed.
Wonderful shop, and I'm going to have to take out 13, the girl.
13 is out.
3 more.
Or you can start placing and the others can fall off the end.
No, that's okay. Let's remove the black-crowned heron, unfortunately. And I have 1 more.
That's 23, correct?
That's correct.
It's gone.
Yes. It's a toss-up. Let's take out 16, down the barrel.
16 down the barrel was out.
Correct. So let me do 1 through 4.
Did I miss one? Oh, okay.
We have one more that you need.
Oh, 1 more. Sorry. Right. Sorry. 21, Gabura. Take out the daisy.
Okay.
There you
It's
go.
out.
Okay. So let me give you 1 through 4. Number 1 will be 17.
That's the skip dip, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2 will be 20, balloon.
20 is number 2.
Number 3 will be 6, sunset and sunflowers.
Number 3 is number 6 is third place.
Mm-hmm. And 4 will be resort.
Is that number
And the
7?
rest, correct. So 12, the queen, is honorable. 19 is honorable. And 24 is honorable.
Do we have too many honorables, Ron?
We need 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And what is the first of your honorables, Ed?
Was 12, the queen.
The Queen, of course.
19, Hayes. And 24, Red Spur.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. That's. I wanted to remind you that these are our novices, so we have to.
Yeah.
This is quite exceptional collection, I think, this evening.
Yes, it was. It was.
We're going to take a look at, see who the artists were for each of these photographers.
Sure.
Our honorable mention tonight, Red Suitser, Harold Crossland. Congratulations, Harold. Honorable mention to Bob Bloom for Hayes Carl II, if I'm reading that correctly. And honorable mention to Sarah Derritt for the Queen. Okay, fourth place to Deborah Davis for the resort. Third place, Harold Crossland, Sunset and Flowers. Second place, Popping Balloon, Monique. And Monique, I'm going to have to work on pronouncing your last name.
I was getting ready for some fun.
Okay. Okay, and first place this evening is Skip Dip, and that's Diane Vatcher. So congratulations, everybody. What a nice selection of people.
Done.
Okay, Ed, you better get a drink of water. We got a long evening ahead of us yet.
Yeah, let me go take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay, while you're doing that, I want to,
People that are here can talk about the image.
people that can, well, we could do that, yeah. But I did want to remind, again, the people who are new to the club, you can bring it back in if it's honorable mention or it didn't place. So, but once it's placed, that it's going to be looking like that in the end of year competition when that comes up in May. So anyone here? Monique, you want to talk about your photograph? But we'll have to pass the mic to you.
Sarah. I hate mine. I'm not sure what you want me to say. Well, we played around during COVID. Me and my husband, we went in the garden and we played around with the flash and a black background. Obviously, lots of balloons. This is probably take, I don't know, 57. Yeah, it was a practice for my course. So I had to do some fast shutter speed. Trying to get the flash involved. I'm not sure it flashed on this one, but it worked.
So what did you top the balloon with?
A needle, a knitting needle.
How'd you get the hand out of the way fast enough, or didn't you?
That's the only thing I tried to get rid of this week. So yeah, there was a blue line in before from the knitting needle, and it was one of those, I'll try, yeah. Oh, somebody else?
Is Sarah Derritt here? Yeah. Tell us about the Queen.
I was just shooting flowers in my room, and she walked up, and that's what happened, and that's what I captured.
Now, Deborah Davis is not here, correct?
She's online.
She's online, okay. All right, great.
Was the other cat picture yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing for Deborah online, Deborah, if you can type out a little bit of information about your winning image and anybody else that may have a winning image online, while we're in a little bit of a restroom break, I'll be happy to read that here on the stream.
And until Ed comes back, we have prints coming up in 2 weeks. You can submit up to 3 color and up to 3 black and white. And if you're not quite sure of the rules on that, let me know. I'll talk you through that. Or you can simply go online where Mike Thomas did a great job of capturing all the rules for us on our website.
Yeah, and for the novice people, printing is really where you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to make a print look good on your monitor. It's another thing to do the printing.
Right.
And for you to move yourself kind of beyond novice or beyond the beginner, it really determines how you can get your profiles good and produce something good.
Okay. Now, when Ed comes,
For print.
start on the unlimiteds here. We'll go through them again, but I think your commentary can be a little bit short, briefer with the unlimiteds because some. Okay.
We have 4, I think.
Okay. John, you let us know when you're ready to go, and we need the names up on the screen again too.
When you're ready, Ron.
Okay. Ed, are you ready? We're just going to
Yes.
go through them once.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 1 is Last Splash. Number 2 is Mesquite Valley Castle Rock. Number 3 is Brighton Beach, New York City. Number 4 is Grasshopper. Number 5 is Lonely Tree. Number 6 is Surfside Motel. Number 7, Red-Footed Booby, Preenie for Instagram. 8, Lindy Point. Number 9, Working the Water. Number 10, OBX Lights. Number 11, Here's Looking at You. 12 is Rigging and Sails. 13, In the Clouds. 14, More Please. 15, Rocker. 16, Soaking Wet. 17, Dragonfly Resting. 18, Watching You. 19, Double Dome. 20, Noon to Save. Number 21, Window. 22, A Biltmore View. 23, Not Seaworthy. 24, Fourth, Fireworks. And 25, Swallowtail. 26, The British Are Coming. 27, Dock Workers. Number 28, England's Sky Through History. 29, Seaboat Ride. 30, Calm Before the Storm. 31, Super Hornet. 32, Work Gloves. Number 33, Orion. 34, My Kid Sister. 35, Left Rear. 36, Pittsburgh Skyline. 37, Four Sailing Boats. 38, Running for Home. 39, Wetting the Old Whistle. Number 4, Bee and Flower. 41, Nesting Great Blue Herons. 42, Annapolis Harbor. 43, Birch Reflection. 44, Red-winged Blackbird. 45, the egg. 46, words. 47, purple-throated mountain gem. 48, Old York Canal. And 49, hummingbird standoff. Number 50, ancient juniper. 51, night ascent. 52, red 1. 53, Watkins Glen. 54, birth of a bowl. 55, gray parrot. 56, monster truck jump. 57, rust and peeling paint, but beautiful. 58, balloon festival. 59, sky high. 60 is big sky. 61 is slats. 62, ocean swirls. And the last in the series, number 63, geese on moonlit lake. So, Ed, I guess we'll roll back to number 1. And the first picture in the series is Last Splash. And a little bit of commentary, and we can let us know how these go, just the same as we did the novices.
How many awards?
We need to have first, second, third, and fourth, and 6 honorable mentions.
6 honorable. So
Total
10 total.
10 total, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be a little bit more brief with these comments. Okay, great selection of images overall, guys. I'm going to run through these a little bit more quickly. This first image is a great action shot, but I think if you cropped it down a lot more, just to really get that facial expression, this would have been a much stronger image. It's actually a pretty good exposure, but because you've got just too much negative space, I'll take this out.
Okay, number 1 is out. Number 2.
This is a wonderful composition out west. Again, Mesquite Valley at Castle Rock. Very, very dramatic sky, along with the wonderful colors, shadows, and composition. We'll keep this in.
Okay, number 2 is in. Number 3, Brighton Beach.
If I didn't know the title of this, I would obviously think it was somewhere over in Eastern Europe or whatever. So it really has a bit of a universal, almost timeless appeal. But the gentleman's parka is really, really hot. That can be toned down very easily within your processing software. So we'll take this one out.
Number 3 out. Number 4.
Insects are great. They're so fascinating. Again, shooting insects, wildlife, birds can be very challenging. Unfortunately, I think this is a little bit overprocessed, both with color and sharpening and the actual background, the texture. Unfortunately, I think really kind of takes it away, takes your eye away from the structure of the insect itself. If you can just tone it down just a tad and see if that works a little bit better. In?
Okay, number 4 in. Number 5.
Lovely composition and subject matter. However, the greens are a little bit overdone. I would go back, if you still want to continue to have the greens, go back and tone those down to make it very, 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 very subtle, much like what you have in your tree. You don't want it to match the tree tonal wise, but tone those greens down, and I think you've got a much more attractive image. Out.
Okay, number 5 is out. Number 6.
A lovely camp sort of photograph with the various colors and the reflection as well. In fact, my eye was attracted to that reflection at first, and that's unfortunate. You don't have, people or some action going on to give the image a little bit more interest. Otherwise, it's quite static. It could almost be classified as a still life. But I like to see a little bit more going on here. Out.
6 is out. Okay, number 7.
Here's a very good exposure, again, talking about wildlife, where you get to see a lot of the texture, and you've got some very nice behavioral sort of photograph going on, namely the bird cleaning itself and preening. The colors, the composition are all just spectacular with this particular image. In.
Okay, number 7 is in. Number 8.
Lindy Point, very famous area, West Virginia, Blackwater Canyon. I remember seeing this years and years ago, being a railroad buff, because the Western Maryland went through Blackwater Canyon here. This is very well done and a very well-known spot. Great sky, nice perspective, good exposure. We'll keep this in.
Okay, number 8 is in. 9.
Wonderful action shot. This, the photographer, I don't know how he was able to join the boat crew, but to be able to go out on the water and do this is really a fun thing to do, to really get to see these guys working. I assume this is the bay or one of the larger rivers, but this is just a really, really, really nice shot. My only recommendation would be the gunnel of the boat on the left there is a little hot, so tone that down just a tad, but otherwise in.
Okay, number 9 is in. Number 10.
Shooting the docks at night are quite attractive. A lot of geometry, a lot of interesting lighting going on. Unfortunately, this pickup truck just absolutely killed it for me. It's like the next time you want to do something like this, make sure there's nothing there that distracting. It's like, okay, you've got these wonderful boats and the dock and the reflections, and the truck just kills it. Out.
Okay, number 10 is out. Number 11.
Number 11, very, very attractive. You've got not only some great geometry again, here's your circle with some ovals, and you've got some radiating lights, and the coloration, the creativeness of this, of the actual image is actually very complementary. Very nice composition. You've got a couple lines in the lower center that need to be cleaned up, but otherwise a very attractive image. In.
Number 11 in. Number 12.
I understand what the photographer was trying to do here, and I've done similar sort of shots, but right now this has got too many ropes where I find them distracting, and you really kind of kill the image, even with that diagonal up on top and the multiple ropes on the right. The next time you try this, try and make it a little bit more simple with what you're trying to frame frame your subject on. Out.
Number 13.
Wonderful story here. You've got these two people sitting in the beach chairs looking out at the water. Unfortunately, it is so hot, it's so bright that you lose the texture in the water receding, and the sand, there's virtually no texture in there at all. This can be worked up to where you can get all that back. And I recommend that you do this because there's a great story here. If you look closely, they're holding hands, which is a wonderful piece of photography. So go back and redo that, please. Out.
Number 13, out. Number 14.
Wonderful portrait of this young baby. It seems, though, as if that there was a background above the green and above the hair of the baby that was removed. I can see a lot of remnants, if you will, or softness within the top of the head of the hair that unfortunately I find a little distracting. If it was a removed background, the next time try and remember what the backgrounds were or were not. I know when I go out shooting with folks, I will tell them, watch your backgrounds more than your subjects, because you're going to be more focused in on your subject and forget about the background where you've got other things that may be interfering. So we'll take this out.
Okay, number 14, out. Number 15.
As simple as it is, this really has the potential to tell a story. Here you have two empty rockers and an open door. I'd love to know what the backstory was. Was it referring to a person? Is there somebody waiting? Did somebody just leave? Again, there's a bit of mystery associated with this. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about your picture being about something, not necessarily of something. So let's keep this in.
15 is in. Number 16.
Wonderful capture. To shoot wildlife when it's raining is a treat. And you can see and capture and observe just some wonderful activities going on with the animals, whether they be just birds or other small animals or squirrels or rabbits or whatever. What I find very encouraging about this image, and I'm glad the photographer submitted it, is if you look to the right of the bird, actually it's left, but our right, you can see the splash of water on the piece of wood there, which really accentuates, what's going on with this image. In.
16 is in. Number 17.
Really aggressive close-up of a dragonfly. Again, the structure, the colors, the hairs, the whole composition of when you shoot close-ups of insects is very, very rewarding, and I just find it to be fascinating. The colors in this image are just a little bit overdone. Kind of back it off just a little bit. I know in some cases they can be quite stunning, but just for the image itself, it looks like it was overcooked just a bit. So we'll take this out.
Okay, number 17 is out. Number 18.
Great capture. Again, one of those things where if you're not ready to get something like this, you'll never get it. Unfortunately, the front of the snake is not totally in focus, along with its eyes. If you had maybe a little bit more depth of field set up on your camera and ready to go, you would have captured it. But I like what you're doing here. Certainly don't give up. And I would, keep your camera with your base settings ready to go the next time something like this happens. Out.
Number 18 out. Number 19.
Doing fisheye photography can be extremely rewarding. And I understand what the photographer was trying to do here. Unfortunately, it literally is two pieces, two halves put together. And you can see the difference in exposure up in the rafters. If you look in the upper central part and then walk around to the other side, you can see the difference in exposure. You can see the line where you've got these joined together, and then look very closely at the circle of windows, and it's just not a clean joining. I've seen images where people have done this, but you really, really, really have got to work it to make sure that everything lines up perfectly. And I know it takes forever to do this, but once you are successful in doing this, the images can be stunning. So we'll take this one out.
Okay, 19 is out. We're up to number 20.
Wonderful beach scene showing the lifeguard with all his gear, the colorful umbrella, the wonderful rules. And to me, this sort of image is just a little bit too busy. I don't know where you want me to look. It's a nice documentary sort of shot. Maybe, possibly, if you were able to photograph the lifeguard himself. I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but I think that would have made a more engaging sort of image. So out.
Okay, number 20 is out. We're up to 21.
21, window. Very well done with exposure. And I say that because not only do you have the outside very well exposed, but you also can see the interior. And this is a tough thing to do sometimes, to get the proper exposure done on a basic window, showing a lot of texture and a lot of geometry. In.
Okay, number 21 in. Number 22.
Nice venue. Unfortunately, I don't know where you want my eye to look. You've got some beautiful diagonals with the staircase coming down. You've got the sculpture. You've got the other diagonal of the wall going down and across into the corner, and really quite a stunning view of the Appalachians. It's unfortunate you didn't give me a shot of that, because I think I would have reacted in a much more favorable way. Or in the future, excuse me, try a different perspective as to exactly what you wanted to capture here. Otherwise, my eye is going around the entire image, not knowing where to land. Out.
And number 22 out. Number 23.
As opposed to this image, which definitely has a prime focus, namely the boat that is up against the shore. Obviously, it's been sitting there for a while. It's got a lot of rust. I'd be interested to know what the story is. Good exposure, nice composition. In.
Okay, number 23 in. Number 24.
Shooting fireworks can be a lot of fun. To give the viewer of a photograph viewing photographs, I'd like to see a little bit more context. And we'll see that in an image that's actually within this group. It's not a bad exposure. It's a little bit hot in the middle. I mean, I know that's really tough to control for, but I think that there's a much better image coming up. So we'll take this out.
Okay, number 24 is out. Number 25.
Classic sunflower shot with an insect or even a bird. Excuse me. I'll grab some water. It's actually very well done. Good exposure, nice background. Again, great bokeh, and a classic shot. The only thing I think would have made this a little bit more interesting is if you just moved a little bit more to your right to get more of the sunflower to get that texture. But we'll keep this in.
Okay, number 25 is in. Number 26.
Wonderful action shot. Not only do you have the person dressed up as a recreator here, but also firing the gun and the photographer capturing not only the flintlock smoking the gunpowder, but also the discharge from the barrel. Wonderful action shot. Congrats to the photographer. In?
26 is in. 27.
I wasn't too sure as to what I should be looking at here. I know you've got the people that looks like they're communicating, the folks on the dock with the people coming out of the boat. But the folks in the boat are not necessarily engaged with the people on the dock. So I don't know exactly what you want me to draw from this image. I love the geometry with the painting on the boat, but other than that, it doesn't do much for me. Out.
Okay, 27 is out. Number 28.
Nice attempt at getting a mood shot, looking through the window and grabbing the sky. I think the sky, though, can be developed just a little bit better to give it a better definition and a little bit more character to really make this image stand out. Otherwise, by itself, it's just simply a nice image of this window of this particular building. Out.
Okay, 28 out. 29.
Pretty interesting shot showing this, what looks like to be a portable bar with its own outboard. I've never seen one of these, so in terms of the novelty, this is kind of cool. But it's just simply not in focus. The people's faces are blurred. I like the colors from the water and the lights and everything, but the fact that you're just not really sharp or able to view the people, we'll take this out.
Okay, 29 is out. Number 30.
You know, I struggled with this image when I first saw it. I didn't know what it was trying to tell me because the main focus of the image is the windmill and the brushes in the tree. The title, though, says Calm Before the Storm. I'd like to see more of the sky then. If that's what you're going to call it, give me more of a context. Maybe if you did more of a sky shot or a panorama with a little bit more to your left to show me that stormy sky, that I could really feel then the mood of this image. Thus, we'll take it out.
Okay, number 30 is out. Number 31.
I had to study this image for a little bit of time because I'm thinking to myself, okay, you had to be in another plane, obviously, to get this image. You're up in the sky and you're taking this photograph. Not an easy thing to do. So I credit the photographer for doing that. Unfortunately, I think the composition is working against itself because you've got the tip of the airplane touching the wing of the other airplane. And that really detracts from this. Otherwise, it's one hell of a capture because obviously you are up in the plane shooting this. But unfortunately, we're going to take this out.
Okay, number 31 is out. Number 32.
You know, I like the backstory here in terms of showing the gloves and the pruning pliers because you are trying to tell me something here. I wish, however, that I could see more detail in those pruning pliers, and I wish you didn't include whatever is on the lower border that's got the semicircles that's popping up. Part of it is covering the pruning pliers. I would have not had that in the image at all. But I do like the composition. I like the story you're trying to tell. So I would go back and try this a different way in terms of your composition. But watch your exposure so you have your texture and detail within your darkened areas, such as the handles of your pruning shears. Out.
Okay, number 32 is out. That's one page down. About as many images to go yet, so hold on to your seatbelts.
30 more.
Okay, number 33.
Very well done. Nice portrait, nice lighting. Here again, you have the model engaging with you, with the photographer, and the use of the light is obviously very well studied. Not only do you have a front light, but the side and top. So this is a very, very good exposure. In?
And number 33 and number 34.
I really like, and I was looking for more. I would love to see what she's looking at. She's got this wonderful expression on her face, sitting there in a wonderful location. What is she looking at? I mean, again, sometimes we can't catch all of that all the time, but I would love to know what else is going on here. In.
Okay, number 34 is in. Number 35.
Interesting geometry and color. You got a range of textures. Obviously, this beautiful metallic finish. I assume it's on, a car or a boat or something like that. But I was looking to see where my eye would land. What is the focus? What do you want me to focus on? Otherwise, these white lines, if I follow them, they all take me right out of the picture. So you got to be careful with your lines and what they do to the eye. Again, your eye's going to go to the brightest spot in the image. Out.
Okay, 35 is out. Number 36.
Very good composition. The sky could use a little bit of work, meaning tone it down a little bit. And you have distortion in the house where the incline is going up into. I realize this is wide angle and you're trying to get everything in, but that can be fixed in software. So I would recommend you go back, excuse me, and see if you can fix that angle of the house. Otherwise, you've got a great image going on here. Out.
Okay, number 36 out. Number 37.
Great action shot on the bay with the boats. Really, really enjoy this. I get and see that one boat in the middle that is almost totally tipped over. What you can do, though, to make this even a better image is to crop the bottom a little bit, maybe just to below the buoy, because it really, that extra water there really doesn't do much, for your overall image. And that's something you always want to check. Is this space negative space or dead space? In this particular case, it's dead space. So out.
Okay, 37 is out. Number 38.
I need to grab some water here. Hold on. I really like this shot, and I'll tell you why. If you really look at the gal running around the bases. I assume this is a period sort of costume for baseball. And I would wish that the photographer would lighten up the gal's face just a little bit because it's in shadow because of the hat, to see the expression on her face, which is just absolutely terrific. And you've got these two guys sitting there watching her running for the next base. Unfortunately, you've got this lower left-hand part of the photograph being obliterated. That's really, really unfortunate. The next time, try and get a better composition, but I really, really like the expression on this gal's face as she's running home. Out.
38 out, number 39.
Wonderful shot. Unfortunately, the bird is soft. It's not really sharp. There's very low contrast also within this image. I would go back and try and process this just a little bit differently. It could be cropped from the right as well as the bottom a little bit. You got a nice reflection. Otherwise, you're almost there, but not quite. Out.
39 out, number 40.
Wonderful capture with the bee. However, I'd like to see a little bit more lightening of the bee itself. It's very sharp. It's in focus. However, because it's so black, you don't see a lot of the structure or the detail. So I would go back and redo this. Out.
40 is out, number 41.
Water. Okay. Here's another example of a tough exposure. This is obviously in very bright light, either early morning or during high noon. And to get proper exposure on birds like these, you really, really, really have to work your camera, whether you do center weighted or pinpoint weighted for your exposure, knock down your your aperture, increase your shutter speed. In some cases, it's better to underexpose so you get the details back on those white areas. Otherwise, they're just blown out. And the tonality across this is just even all the way across. You could really go back and redo this with some burning and dodging to get some better separation of the birds from the foliage. Out.
Okay, 41 is out, number 42.
Here is the fireworks shot that I mentioned earlier. You've got a much wider perspective and you're further back. Excuse me. And you get to see everything. You've got a beautiful foreground. You've got the city lights. You've got this wonderful shape and color associated with this fireworks. This really is one of the better perspectives on how to shoot fireworks. So the next time when you may have an opportunity, think of this. So in.
Okay, number 42 is in, number 43.
I understand what the photographer wanted to do here with the split reflection. And you have this interesting geometry with the stumps. However, these are difficult to pull off. I mean, visually as well as aesthetically. And it's difficult for people to really, try and get the story of what you're trying to tell me. Sometimes if you have less the reflection or more of the actual image, that tends to help. But this image just doesn't work in that regard. Out.
Okay, number 43 out, number 44.
shooting these guys is always a lot of fun. This is a red-winged blackbird that is displaying, as they say. And once they do, you really get to see those red wings, which they really, really stand out. I think the photographer, though, could try and develop a little bit better what's in the shadows to give me a little bit more structure, a little bit more detail. On my screen, at least, there's too much still in the dark, and I don't see any detail whatsoever. And the red is just a little bit hot. Tone that down a bit, and I think you'll get a much better image. Out.
Number 44 out. Number 45.
The egg. This is kind of cool. I don't know what the intent of the photographer was, but to show this just all by itself doesn't really do anything for me, the viewer, other than to see this highly polished stone sitting there. I like to know a little bit more of what the story is to really make a comment on it. It's not a bad exposure. Your sky above is a little bit hot. Bring that down a little bit. Maybe if you had a person within the image doing something, that would have helped. But other than that, I just don't have a connection. Out.
Okay, 45 is out. Number 46.
Here we have what I would call a composition focusing on, obviously, with the text in there about words in a book. And the photographer is trying to convey a thought of words. And whether or not that comes across is an open question. I don't know what the photographer wants to say here. I see the text. I read some of the text. It's a good exposure. It's a good composition. But again, I'm having trouble connecting with the actual image and what the message may be. Maybe it's going over my head or whatever. But I just don't appreciate the image for what it is or is not. I'd love to talk to the photographer about it to find out more, though. Out.
Number 46 out. Number 47.
Great shot of the hummingbird. Again, these are very difficult to get and very difficult to get well. This is a very good exposure. Everything is sharp. The tail feathers are just a little soft, but that's okay because you've got the eye, the beak, and the upper part with great texture and color. In.
Okay, number 47 is in. Number 48.
Wonderful city shot along the canal. Wonderful sky, great color, great composition, nicely processed. I love some of the reflections within the still water as well. And just to give it a little bit of visual interest, you have a couple people in the far left side walking along the path. So it gives me, again, a sense of scale and placement. In.
Okay, number 48 is in. Number 49.
Another hummingbird shot, which is even more difficult to get than the previous one. To really get these guys' wings to be static is a very, very high-speed shot. To get two of them in the same plane is a very difficult thing to do. And to have them being confronted with another insect, I think, is even more impressive. In.
Number 49 is in. Number 50.
This is nice, and I love the fact that the photographer did it in black and white. This is what I would call a high frequency image, meaning you have a lot of edges and you have a lot of detail to look at. Some people don't necessarily like that. They feel as if it's too busy, but I actually do like this. What I would love to see, though, is if the photographer played a little bit with the composition. I understand that shooting it this way is probably how he saw it or she saw it, but I wonder if you took the diagonal and made it more horizontal with a different crop, what that would look like. But otherwise, a good image. In?
Okay, number 50 is in. Number 51.
This is a wonderful image of balloons. The lighting, the composition, the ability to have both balloons in the same frame is very, very nice. The only negative is I wish we could see the top of the balloon. I know that's not always the case, but this is a very, very well done image. Very good exposure, very good composition. In?
Okay, number 51 in. Number 52.
Here's a good example of not having enough total difference within your image. You've got this piece of crystal with a lot of red surrounding it, and there's no real division of color to show the difference in the crystal versus what you have around it. I know that may be tough in some particular cases, but I would go back and try this again, possibly with different lighting or to use some shadows, because I've done similar compositions myself, and you've got to really separate your main focus away from the rest of the image. And unfortunately, I don't think that happens here. So out.
And number 52 is out. Number 53.
This is a very good exposure of the falls and the walls. Unfortunately, I think I want to see more. I wish the photographer had more of the image, namely the bottom and the left and the top. It looks rather constrained, which is unfortunate because this is a beautiful setting and the lighting here is actually very, very good. Possibly play with a different crop to take that upper bridge out and just focus on the waterfalls and see what that looks like. But otherwise, it's a nice image. Out.
Okay, number 53 out. Number 54.
This is a very exposed image that is a tough image to expose for. If you consider you've got this hot furnace on the right with this wonderful geometry with the tube and the bowl being formed, as well as the shadows on the left, you've got great tonal variety here where you can see the differences in shapes as opposed to that red bowl that I was mentioning earlier. But you can see how this lends itself to be very visually attractive. You've got a number of circles in here. You've got a number of diagonals and some nice shading and color. and it's in focus as well as it could. I mean, nothing stands out in terms of this shouldn't be there or that should be better. In?
Okay, number 54 in. Number 55.
Another wonderful shot of a bird, which, like the previous one that we saw, that was just not bright enough. It's underexposed, whereas your background is blown out a little bit. And that really does a big disservice. I would go back and reprocess this and see if you can lighten up the bird's head so I can see its eyes. and tone down the background to really bring the bird out. The overall exposure of the bird, other than the head, is actually very good, but I want to see that bird's head and its eyes. Out.
Okay, 55 out. Number 56.
Big time action shot here with the huge monster truck. And you can see how the truck itself is the brightest thing in the photograph. So that's where your eye is going to go. It's a nice capture, certainly shot at a high shutter speed, but a very good depth of field. You have just about everything in focus with this truck. I'm sure the wheels were moving so as to, again, predicate having that high shutter speed to catch it in stop motion, if you will. In.
Okay, 56 in. Number 57.
Wonderful textures, wonderful colors. I would go back, though, and recrop this and take out that lower portion, like it's about 20%, where you have that little triangle on the lower left. Take it up to just below there, and you've got three major areas then of texture, shape, and color. And I think that would make this a stronger image. And looking at images such as this can always be fascinating and quite rewarding as well, in terms of looking at just how they make people react. We'll take this one out.
Okay, 57 out. Number 58.
Again, an evening shot showing the heater, the gas-fired heaters for the balloons. I think a different perspective might have worked a little bit better. I'm not too crazy about all the people in the gear below. I know that you've darkened them to really get the focus to go up into the balloon, but I'd like to see a little bit better perspective on this to make the image even more dramatic. Out.
Okay, 58 out. 59.
This is a nice exposure showing some of these really, really tall apartments that they're now building in New York City. And it is amazing to see them in person. It's just mind-boggling. And I've seen other shots of Manhattan, and these things are just sticking up out of nowhere. It's really incredible. And this is a very nice perspective. You have a little bit of leaning in towards the middle, so it's a nice wide shot. But the fact that you do have this tilting in does not detract from the image, because you have this center building really dominating and setting the theme for your entire image. Very strong rectangles, very strong triangles, very, very dynamic. In.
Okay, number 59 in. Number 60.
A nice image as you're out for a walk. It's the first thing I thought of when I first saw this. Wonderful field, and you got a great leading line with quite a bit of sky. I like to see something else, though, going on in this image to really kind of keep it within the competitive nature of the other images, but I just don't see it. So we'll take it out.
Okay, number 60 is out. Number 61.
I really wanted to like this image, and I stared at it for a while, and it finally dawned on me what I didn't like and why I was staring at it. It simply needs to be straightened out. It's crooked. So if you take this again into Lightroom, which I actually did, and go into your crop tool and hit auto, it perfectly straightens it out. So I'd recommend you go back and play with that because it's not perfectly symmetrical. It's actually, my eyes look at it and saying, okay, what's wrong with this image? So straighten it out to make it totally square. And I think you'll find it to be a lot more attractive. Out.
Okay, 61 is out. Number 62.
Wonderful landscape shot. Very classic. You've got a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. Wonderful sky, good exposure. Nothing's really blown out. You have a lot of texture. A lot of texture within the water and a lot of texture within the rocks. Very, very dynamic sort of shot for a landscape shot. It would be nice if you had some seals in here, some wildlife or birds, but otherwise a very, very nice picture. In.
Number 62 in. And Ed, this is unbelievably your last picture in this series.
Yep, I got it. I really like this shot. This is probably a really nice example of negative space because you've got this very subtle blue in the left central part of the image with the reflection probably of the sun. The moon, geese on moonlit lake. And you've got this wonderful shape from the reflection. Unfortunately, the geese are not sharp. And it just kills the image. It really does. Unless you want to have some sort of dreamlike sequence, which is quite possibly what the photographer wanted. I really would like to see a little bit more detail in terms of the overall shape of the geese. That's just me. But otherwise, I really like the composition and the exposure of this. But we'll take this one out.
Okay. John, why don't we do a count on how many are in?
Okay, let's see. I've got 24.
And that's what I've got. So,
Say, I got to 14.
yeah, we have to get on. Yeah, we have to take 10 more out. We have to get down to 14. You're correct.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm sorry. We have
Hold on a second. I'm
take
working.
14 out. We go down to 10 total. I'm sorry.
Right. We have 1 through 4 honorable. That's 10. And I have, you said 24? Okay.
Yes, we have 24.
All right. 14 after. Okay, let's start. We'll start at the top. Let's take out the grasshopper, number 4.
Okay.
Let's take out 15, the hawker.
15 is out.
Let's take 25, tail.
25, swallowtail's out.
34, my kid sister.
34 is out.
47, purple throated.
47 is out.
50 ancient juniper.
50 is out.
56 monster truck.
56 is out.
7 more. Let's take out Lindy Point.
Number 8, Lindy Point is out.
21 window.
21 is out.
48 York.
48 is out.
62 Ocean Swirls.
62 is out.
3 more. Let's take out 7, the booby.
No more boobies.
23, not seaworthy.
23 is out.
1 more. I hate to do this, but 16 soaking wet.
Which one's that? 16 soaking wet is out.
Okay. We have 10.
Yes, sir.
So let me do 1 through 4 again. I'm probably going to show some of my biases, but number 1 will be 49 Hummingbird. That's a tough shot to get right.
Okay.
Number 2 will be 33 Orion.
Got it.
Number 3 got to be Working the Water, number 9. That's very well done.
Okay, got that.
Number 4. Quite strong set of images here. It's a toss-up, but let's go Birth of a Bull. That's 4.
Okay, got that. Assigning honorable to the rest.
Correct.
And Ron, would you like to read us from the, let's see, from the highest number down?
Do a quick check mark of the honorables.
I can give you the numbers. I can give you the numbers if you need them.
Okay.
Start with 59.
All right. Number 59 is Sky High by Tammy Gorsak. Excellent.
51.
There it is. 51 is Night Descent, and that was my picture.
Nice.
42, the next one.
Yes, sir.
42, Annapolis Harbor, Fred Venetia. Fred is not with us this evening. And the other honorable mention was number 2.
26.
26? Oh, I'm sorry. Absolutely missed that one. The British are coming, and that was Mike Thomas.
Nice, Mike.
Okay, then we skip back to number 4, Birth of a Bowl, and that's,
Hold on 1 second here.
I'm sorry?
Let's see, where are we at?
Honorables.
Yes.
Okay.
11 and
Which one? What am I missing,
11.
John? Oop, yes, I am. Sorry about that. Here's looking at you, and that was Kathy Hockle. John,
Number 2.
number 2, yes, Mesquite Valley, Castle Rock, and that's Cheryl Kerr. Now can I do the numbers?
Yes.
Okay, number 4 was Birth of a Bowl, and that's Doug Wood.
I just want to double check so that you have it on your set. Should be 54?
right.
Yes, 54.
Okay, good. I
Yeah.
just didn't want numbers to be all messed up.
Sure.
Great. Great work, Doug.
Third place was on number 9, Working the Water, Greg
Right.
Hockle.
Nice.
All right. And second place was number 33, Orion. That was Fred Venetia. And first place tonight was Hummingbird Standoff, and that was Mike Thomas.
Wow.
All right, nice. Very nice.
Nicely done, guys.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah. Gosh.
Wow, Ed, thank you so much. This was an extra hard evening for you all. I'm delighted that we had so many entries this evening and had a variety to look at, and we learned a whole lot. I mean, your commentary was really useful, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys had a really nice selection in both classes.
Well, I think, and you know what? We're down to 9:15. I think it might have been a record time for as many images as we went through.
That is
There you-
perfect.
Yeah. So Ed, thank you so much. And John, I'll turn this over to you.
Okay. Ed, you're welcome to hang out, or you're welcome to go ahead and hang up on us, but thank you so much for your help. Thank you so much for your absolutely wonderful judging.
Thank you.
To everyone that is still here, 16th is Saturday. We have a fantastic field trip to Fort McHenry. I'm thinking that if we haven't already gotten an email about that, we'll get an email about that. Next week, the 21st, we have our own Hope Brooks with a botany program, and there's going to be some like tabletop kind of aspects. So bring your cameras in. And then the 28th, we have a contest, open color and monochrome prints. October 5th, a portrait night. The 12th, digital contest with a theme of flowers. And the 19th, another very own Arundel Camera Club member, Ryan Maurer with cave photography. Ryan goes down into caves with large format cameras. So this is not a program to be missed. And with that, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and we'll see you next week.
We have 3 books back here if you want to come out and take a look. Some portraits,